September 16, 2024. A black SUV pulls up outside a luxury hotel in New York City. Inside is one of the most powerful men in the history of American entertainment. A man worth over $1 billion. A man who had shared stages with presidents, broken bread with world leaders, and built an empire that stretched from music to fashion to media to alcohol. He steps out. Federal agents are waiting. And just like that, in a moment that nobody in the entertainment industry saw coming, the empire ends. This is the story of Sean Combs. And this is a story about something bigger than one man. This is a story about how power works in America, who protects it, who profits from it, and what happens when it finally falls apart. To understand how Sean Combs built what he built, you have to understand where he started. Harlem, 1969. His father, a man connected to some of the most dangerous figures in New York's underground, was shot and killed in Central Park when Sean was just 2 years old. His mother worked herself to the bone to raise him right. And Sean Combs grew up with something burning inside him that never went out. He didn't want to survive. He wanted to conquer. At Howard University, he wasn't studying, he was plotting. He talked his way into an internship at Uptown Records in New York, commuting 4 hours round trip, unpaid, just to be in the room. When they fired him, most people would have taken that as a sign. Sean Combs took it as a starting gun. In 1993, at just 23 years old, he founded Bad Boy Records, and what happened next was nothing short of extraordinary. Biggie Smalls, Faith Evans, Mary J. Blige, total 112. Bad Boy Records didn't just produce music, it produced a culture. A sound so dominant that it defined an entire decade. And Sean Combs, performing as Puff Daddy, producing behind the scenes, appearing in every video, made sure the world knew exactly who was responsible. By the end of the 1990s, Bad Boy had generated over $300 million in revenue. But here is where Sean Combs separated himself from every other artist of his generation. He looked at his fame, and he saw something most musicians never see. He saw a business tool. In 1998, he launched Sean John clothing. The fashion world laughed. Hip-hop artists didn't belong in fashion. That was the conventional wisdom. Within 3 years, Sean John was generating $450 million a year in sales. The fashion world stopped laughing, but the move that truly revealed the genius of Sean Combs as a businessman came in 2007. Diageo, one of the largest spirits companies on earth, approached him about promoting Ciroc vodka. Ciroc was struggling, less than 1% market share, barely a blip in a crowded premium vodka market. The standard arrangement would have been simple: a flat fee, a few appearances, his face on some bottles. Sean Combs said no. He looked at the Diageo executives across the table and he proposed something different: no flat fee. Instead, a 50-50 profit split. He would take no guaranteed money. But if the brand succeeded, he would own half of everything it made. The executives paused. It was an audacious ask, almost unheard of for a celebrity endorsement deal. They said yes. What followed was one of the greatest brand transformations in the history of the spirits industry. Sean Combs didn't just promote Ciroc. He embedded it into an entire lifestyle. Into his parties, his music videos, his social media, his celebrity network. He made Ciroc the drink that powerful, successful, aspirational people drank. Within 5 years, Ciroc had gone from irrelevant to one of the top-selling premium vodkas in America. By 2012, it was generating over $100 million a year. His cut? 50%. Over the lifetime of the deal, Sean Combs earned an estimated $100 million from Ciroc alone. One deal, one negotiation, one moment where he refused the easy money and demanded a partnership instead. $100 million. He then launched Revolt TV, a cable music network positioned as the voice of a new generation. He invested in tech companies, in real estate, in film. By 2023, Forbes confirmed what the industry already knew. Sean Combs was worth over $1 billion, the first hip-hop billionaire in American history. The kid from Harlem whose father died before he could walk had built one of the most powerful one-man business empires America had ever seen. And then came November 2023. His former partner of over a decade, singer Cassie Ventura, filed a civil lawsuit. The allegations were serious, devastating, and they were just the beginning. Within days, the floodgates opened. More accusers, more lawsuits, more allegations. And the business partners, the ones who had spent years attaching their brands and their reputations to the name Sean Combs, began making phone calls. Emergency phone calls. Diageo moved first. The Ciroc partnership, the $100 million masterpiece, the deal that had made vodka history, was terminated. Not suspended, not paused for review, terminated. Then Revolt TV, the network he had built, the vision he had carried for over a decade, announced he was out. His own company, his own creation, continuing without him. Sean John Clothing, the brand that had put hip-hop fashion on the map, collapsed under the weight of what was coming. One by one, the pillars of the empire came down. And then September 16, 2024 arrived, the day of the federal raid. Agents descended on his properties in Los Angeles and Miami simultaneously. The images, tactical gear, luxury homes surrounded by law enforcement, went around the world in minutes. 2 weeks later, he was arrested in New York, charged with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He pleaded not guilty to all charges. He was denied bail. The man who had shaken hands with presidents and graced the covers of the world's biggest magazines was now sitting in a federal detention center in Brooklyn, waiting for a trial that could determine the rest of his life.
His legal team maintains his innocence.
But the business verdict, the one that doesn't wait for courtrooms, had already been delivered. The Ciroc deal? Gone. Revolt TV? Gone. Sean John? Gone. The billion-dollar empire? Analysts estimate hundreds of millions have already evaporated. 30 years of building. 90 days of collapse. Now here is the question that every person in business needs to sit with. How does this happen? How does a man accumulate this much power, this much wealth, this much influence, and surround himself with this many people, and nobody stops it? The answer is uncomfortable, because in the world that Sean Combs operated in, power protected itself. The entertainment industry runs on relationships, on loyalty, on the unspoken agreement that you don't ask questions about the people who make you money. The people around Sean Combs, the executives, the brand partners, the celebrities who attended his parties and smiled for his cameras. Many of them had heard things over the years. Stories, whispers, rumors that circulated quietly in rooms that the public never entered. And the machine kept moving, because the machine was making too much money to stop. This is not a story unique to Sean Combs. It is a story about what happens when wealth and fame become so concentrated in one person that the normal rules stop applying to them. When nobody around you has the power or the courage to say stop. When the brand is so valuable that protecting the brand becomes more important than protecting the people around it. The business lesson here is not just about diversifying your brand beyond one person's name, though that lesson matters enormously. The deeper lesson is about the culture you build around you. Sean Combs built a culture of fear and loyalty where people around him were rewarded for silence and punished for resistance. And that culture, more than any single decision, more than any failed product or bad investment, is what ultimately brought the empire down. Because cultures like that don't stay contained forever. Eventually the silence breaks, and when it does, everything comes out at once. Sean Combs' trial is expected in 2025. He has pleaded not guilty, and his legal team is fighting the charges aggressively. Whatever happens in that courtroom, the world outside it has already made its judgment. The empire is gone, and for everyone watching from the business world, the warning is clear. Build something real. Build something that doesn't depend on fear to survive. Build something that can stand in the light. Because empires built in the dark, no matter how powerful, no matter how untouchable they seem, always eventually face the dawn. This has been the Boardroom Files. Subscribe. Because next week, we are pulling back the curtain on a man so connected, so protected, so deeply embedded in the corridors of global power that the world's most powerful people spent decades and billions of dollars making sure his story would never be told. Until now. We'll see you in the boardroom.